Good afternoon. My name is Scott Rudd, the Chief Strategic Officer at T3 Live. Welcome to today's recap and look ahead.
观众朋友们，大家好，欢迎收看今天的直击美股，我是主持人张舒，在纽约向您问好。美股周二收跌，我们看到今天市场几乎是回吐了昨天所有的涨幅，我们又回到了本周刚开始的时候。今天市场依然是在2030点到2080点这样一个区间不停的反弹，而究竟会以怎样的一个形式来突破呢？我们拭目以待。今天市场同样是有一系列宏观经济数据发布，其中包括了4月份的工厂生产是上涨了0.7%，而备受关注的消费者物价指数是上涨了0.4%。而4月份的新屋开建数字是上涨了6.6%，可以看出这一系列数字显示美国当前的经济状况依然还是比较良好的，但是明显市场有另外一番解读，而这也导致了今天当美国的旧金山联储主席表示市场低估了6月份的加息可能的时候，市场的一个2年期的国债收益率会迅速的上升，这也是反映了当前市场与美联储对于宏观经济数据解读上一个不同的态度。好的，更多的消息，让我们来看一下今天交易员的独家分析。Hi Scott, first I'd like to say welcome back.
Oh, I'm so glad to see you as well.
Yeah, and today the market closed 1% lower, and actually I think we just back to the very beginning, how we start the week, and we see a lot of sideways and trendless activities. So does that make the trading even more difficult?
It does. Anytime you don't get follow through, okay, where you have to buy into the weakness and not worry about falling lower or sell into strength versus buying for looking like higher prices, it's not an easy environment for traders. Traders like to buy high and sell higher, short lower, cover lower. So, but we have a pattern building here.
Okay.
So let's take a quick look at the pattern building in the S&P to figure out whether or not there will be follow through to the downside here. Look at the chart, you will see. First of all, we talk about, healthy markets. Healthy markets are like this. Double bottom, reclaim the 8 and 21-day moving average. And then we trended above it all the way to here. And then that's when we broke the ascending channel, lost momentum. So now what happened? You have the left shoulder, which I remember talking to you before we left, the head. And I said, how long are we going to live on the right side to create a potential right shoulder? Well, now you have a head and shoulders top pattern, and you have big support. So now if this were to trigger to the downside and close below 2040, the measured move from 2100 to 2040 takes it through the 200-day all the way down to here. So the question is, does it trade through this, or is it another misdirectional move? At this point, I think you have to have risk down, be careful, and maybe even I'm short overnight, so I'll see whether or not we get downside follow through. At this point, though, lots of distribution days, and now we are below the moving averages, not above them like we were during this part of the trend.
And let's talk about Apple, because that's the reason why we had a rally yesterday. After the Warren Buffett disclosed a 9.81 million stakes in this company, it just had a one-day wonder. And today it's very flat. So what's the next key leverage to watch in Apple?
Well, last week I was trying to short Apple below 92, and it was a decent trade. It did go as low as 89.5. So today it was back to 95. So that was like a retracement where some people bought it because, Warren Buffett's a value investor. So, if he took a stake, maybe it provides a little bit of confidence. Okay, so today, though, for a trade, after yesterday's big move up in the morning, was a better sell than a buy. So now the question is, was Monday's move real? This is what I would say write down. If, at this point, Apple holds back above this 92, which it's trying, then maybe this downside was a bit of an overthrow. But if it all of a sudden gets back below this, I think it's not going to be good for the market. At this point, you had a little bit of a retrace. It's got to hold 92. If you're in it long on a micro trading version, be long versus 92 back below, get out of the way, because this pattern is still, very, very bearish. And, Warren Buffett, as good as he is, he started buying IBM a little too early as well. So just don't get long because of him at this point. We'll see, if it can hang above there and what that means for the overall market, because the Qs itself doesn't look pretty. Back below the 200-day moving average. If you look here on a micro version, you'll see, back below the 200-day, back below the moving averages. So this, to me, does not look technically positive, especially ever since breaking the 8 and 21-day moving average right there.
Okay, and let's talk about oil, because that's another reason why we had a rally yesterday. Oil, on the other side, just very, very strong and hit the new high for the year. And actually, how do you think about oil? Do you think the oil and gold can be the next catalyst for this market going upside?
I don't know. At this point, at least oil is higher, so they're not talking about all the defaults in the oil companies. I don't know if it's much of a difference if oil is at 48 or 52, the profitability of these energy companies. What I'm seeing, though, is oil made a new high today, and the market didn't care. The USO, if you take a quick look here, okay, is at the highs of the month, but the stocks in the XLE may not believe it. Because look at that high, so that's a minor divergence. So we'll see what happens here. We'll see what happens with oil. At this point, oil is not a headwind. I'm just not sure how much of a tailwind it's going to provide. So at this, I think you could write down this little trend here in the XLE and see whether or not it stays above it. If this were to break, this too would be a little bit of a headwind versus a tailwind. But I do see a divergence where oil's at highs and the stocks aren't. So maybe the stocks don't believe that the move in oil is going to be sustained, short term.
Okay, that's all we have for today.
Yes, and we'll be here every day trying to connect the dots, and we'll see if we get some kind of follow-through to this pattern that's finally built. At this point, I think risk down no matter what, and maybe you can make some money to the short side if that's what you do, but we'll be watching 2040 tomorrow on the S&P.
好的，感谢您的收看，我们明天再见。